I want you to feel free from the chains at last, and to believe in what you got, it was built to last, yeah.
Now that I've been put through hell, I never got anyone's help. I had to do it all myself.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I've got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I've got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement.
Gonna learn the consequence of being incompetent. Mental health is confidence, dreams into modestness. I'm not here to save the day, that's for you to take away. I could play a million mind games, but instead I say something not illogical, something that is topical. Rub it on and watch it go, make yourself unstoppable. Dreams are irresponsible, but they're always possible.
Evening, guys. I hope you're all doing well. And I'm going to start off by apologising that I couldn't get the live done last night. I received a phone call because I'm working on something very big. There's going to be a massive exclusive, hopefully over the next couple of months. Just working behind the scenes with a couple of people, and quite looking forward to doing that. So, I do apologise, guys. I mean, but I was on a 3-hour phone call last night as regards to a big exclusive podcast that I've got coming up. Also, I'm going to give a massive shout out to one of my biggest fans. This guy's been a fan of mine for quite a while now, and he's quite obsessed with me. So, Narrative Destroyer, big up yourself, sir. Clip this, but be careful. Be careful what you do. So there's your shout out, Narrative Destroyer. I didn't want to leave you out of this because I know you've been begging for a bit of attention. So there you go. You got your big shout out there, Narrative Destroyer. Thank you for your support. Thank you for the promoting of my channel. And I wish you every bit of goodness in your life. Let's have a quick look down the list. We got Michelle C. Evening. How are you doing? Michelle C. Jaleese, as always. How are you doing, Jaleese? Hope you're doing well. Hope you and the family are doing well. Also, Ginge. Evening, sir. How are you doing? Hope you're doing well. UK lady. Good evening. Great to have you in. So, yeah, he's been big up 50. How you doing, 50? Great to see you in here, sir. Great to see you in here, 50. Yogi's World. Great name, mate. I like the name change. Steve, I'm great, thank you. How's Angelica? She's doing very well. Thank you, Julie. She's doing her dialysis at the moment, so that gives me an hour spare to have a little rant and live, because I haven't done a live for a while now, but I am working on something very big, very exclusive. Podcast will be happening hopefully over the next couple of months. I'm just waiting for a court case to finish, and I'll be giving you guys something that will blow your mind, but like I say, I've got to wait for a court case to finish before I can report and review on that. So I'm going to try and get some more lives knocked out. I mean, but sometimes, I don't find enough hours in the day, to get a live done. But every time I get a live done, I'm going to bring something new to the table. I mean, I've been really, really enjoying these paranormal investigations that I've been doing, just lately. So there is going to be a few more of them. I mean, but I'm going to start touching again on the grooming gangs up and down the UK. That's something that I'm going to be bringing more of. So it's going to be a mix between doing a couple of lives and grooming gangs and paranormal activities and investigations, you know, that I'm going to be doing. But I want to do one or two audits, sorry. Not has got that bloody Chelsea top one. You know me, Rob. You know, I've got to promote that team, haven't I? So anyway, let's get down to business, shall we? It's been brought to my attention, you know, quite recently. Evening, Stevie Boy Billings. Hope you're doing well, sir. Thank you for coming in. Amanda's Adventures. Evening to you, sir. Hope you're doing well too. Yeah, it's been brought to my attention that a certain auditor in the auditing community has decided to, you know, kick one or two people down when they're kind of like down on their luck, and that's kind of grabbed my attention, and it's led to the title, which is bringing shame within the auditing community. And what I mean by that is us people that create content, we kind of do it because we feel you know, there's a warrant for the content to be produced to give you guys the entertainment of watching the content that we make. Now, I'm not going to go hard in on this individual, you know, but I'm going to highlight a point that I feel needs to be said across. It could be in relation across the whole of the YouTube community, as with content creators, I mean, but especially within the auditing community. Now, when we decide to go out and make our content, the one thing that boils my pee is the case that you've got a lot of people that stick PayPal links up in on their lives and begging for money so that they can go from A to B or from B to C. And there's certain channels that depend on you guys paying them to be able to travel from A to B to create the content. Now, I don't know what you guys feel about that, but why should you guys pay for the content? You know, for us, what us creators, you know, are wanting to make. And on top of that, when you get the donations, you know, you kind of not spend it on the relevant things, you know, to produce that content. But what I'm trying to say is basically, you know, why is there so many people, you know, begging for money off you guys? You know, that you're the guys that make channels, you know, because if it wasn't for you guys watching the content, then what's the pointness of that person creating content? And, you know, it's been brought to my attention, you know, that especially with, you know, this certain auditing channel, he's begging his subs to pay for his trips so he can create the content. Now, I don't think that's right. It's all willy-nilly, you know, to use Buy Me a Coffee. You can stick the Buy Me a Coffee link up. That's what it's for. You know, and then if any of your subs want to buy you a coffee, you know, they can pay £5. There's a little bit that gets taken to the Buy Me a Coffee organisation, and you get the majority of it, you know, which I find that fair and square. But when you're constantly badgering your subs for money, that to me is a form of begging. So then you're expecting your subs, right? Now, it's hard enough in this day and age as it is with electric, gas, council tax, rent. So there's a lot of people that aren't in a position to be able to buy you a coffee. Now, where I draw the line with all of this is the begging, constant throughout a live. They put a PayPal link up. Please donate to me. Please donate to me. Give me your money, please. And what I'm trying to express across is I create the content because I want to. Now, if I go out and do a paranormal investigation, with the team, we will split the petrol money between us. A, because we enjoy doing it, and B, it gives me a bit of content, to put out there on my channel, which is something different. I don't go then and expect you guys, which is my job is to entertain you guys, as a content creator. Evening, Mrs. Torbs. Hope you're doing well. Pasadena Paranormal. Good evening to you, sir. Also, hope you're all doing well. So why is it that there's a auditing channel that's constantly begging you guys for your hard-earned money just so he can go out and create content? I'm not just picking on BBA. This is going out to all of the other channels also, that find it necessary to beg off their subs. Now, if you was to go out, get off your fat ass BBA and get a job, I understand you've got a family. We've all got a family. We've all got to work to make our money. But what I find quite ironic is then you have the audacity to sit there and kick a man down. Especially at a Christmas time. And I do apologise. You've recently lost a family member. I'm sorry to hear that. So the timing might not be quite right, but it's the right time for me to do it. And what balls my pee more, is the fact that you're then begging for money off your subs. And I don't think that's quite right. You're supposed to create the content, for your subs to enjoy. Local Experimentalist UK, good evening, sir. Hope you're doing well. And I just think it's wrong. That's not the way to go about building the channel. That's not the way to go about gaining subs. That's not going the right way about creating the content. A heck of a lot of channels create the content because they love doing it. They do not beg for 1 penny of any of their subs. And this is happening up and down the YouTube community. And, quite frankly, I don't know how your subs, are reaching into their pockets and giving your channel a hard-earned penny. I'll use an example. BBA, you damaged your phone, or your phone got damaged in some way, shape, or form, and you was begging your subs for money, donations, PayPals, whatever, so that they can pay for your damaged phone. Am I correct or am I wrong? And your subs literally paid for the damage you done to your phone out of their own pocket and out of their own hard-earned money. Torbs, big up, sir. Hope you're doing well. With all the BBA saying he was going to pee on someone's dead mother's grave, there is so much Unbelievable. Track, that's come out. It's gob. Yes, I mean, I've used one example, guys. So if I damage my phone, that's my responsibility, to get repaired. That's not my responsibility to come on here on the YouTube platform and beg you guys, my subs, you people that make my channel, because you come along, you listen to the content that I create. When I do a live, you're always there. You're always pleasant. You're always polite, except for one or two idiots, that obviously don't like me for whatever reason. But I do not beg one of you guys for any sort of money donation, buy me a coffee. There's been one person, right, that's ever donated to my buy me a coffee. And that individual, he done it because he could afford it, and he felt that, maybe if I had a little coffee, that would wake me up in the morning, and help me along. I mean, but to actually use the excuse to his subs that he damaged his own phone, right, and then he expected his subs to pay for that damage on his phone. I just think that that's not what YouTube was created for. I can go on and go on, and this guy plays out to be such a good guy, such a nice guy. I mean, to be honest with you, I used to ice chain pure water, evening, sir, and that's not what the YouTube community was made for. Begging off your subs. Now, I understand, you can get into the paid system on YouTube where you get money from YouTube through ads revenue, when you monetize your channel. I understand that, and that's fair enough. That's how some people make their money to put back into, say, petrol money to travel from A to B. So that they can get out and make content. So, he's BBA's phone, it cost him about £110 to get it repaired. Whether he was begging or whether his subs had just donated money because they felt sorry for him, and he used the excuse, I think, that he needed his phone to create content. So my argument about this is, why does he have to let his subs pay £100 or £110 to get his phone fixed so he can create content? Surely that should be his own responsibility. I know he's also shown receipts that he's paid for the damage on the phone, so that's fair and square, because he's shown these subs that he's paid for the phone and he hasn't used it for other purposes. But the point again I'm trying to make is that, why should he rely on these subs? Shouldn't he go out and get a job, to be able to cater for these mishaps? Because we all do. If we all broke our phone, then we have to reach into our own pocket, to get that phone repaired. There's also another incident, that I've noticed around the YouTube community, that somebody gave him some money so that they can go down to visit him. Now, I recently went to Borough, because I wanted to go down and see Brian and Emma Cockrell because of the misfortunes that their family's having to suffer through at the moment at the hands of a couple of fucking idiots. you know, that are trying to make their life hell. And I wanted to go down and meet Brian for the first time and meet Emma Cockrell for the first time, you know, and what a great, lovely couple that they are. And in the process, you know, I also arranged to meet up with Torbs, and you all should know Torbs. I mean, can any mods put the links for Torbs and Ginge and quite a few other channels in the chat box, please? And you know, go give these good guys a sub. You know, so I arranged a meeting with Torbs. You know, I've met Torbs. He's a great fella, absolute gentleman. You know, showed me nothing but respect. And at the same time, you know, I bumped into the Nutter channel. You know, so I got introduced to two new faces of people that I've only ever spoken to, you know, through the YouTube community. But I never once begged or asked any sub of mine to pay up. I didn't even ask Brian or Emma to pay for me to go down to visit them. You know, but this BBA, he actually had someone give him money so that he could go down to visit them, is what I understand. You know, but yet that visit's yet to happen. You know, so this is where conflicts come in, because people then are sat back thinking, well, where's this donation money go? I gave you this, where's it gone? You haven't been down to see me. So it causes conflict. Now, this is the point that I'm trying to make. You don't need to beg for money. You know, YouTube should be a place where people can make content for you guys to watch. If you so happen to buy that channel a coffee, you know, that's fair and square. But for a channel to actually put beg links up and PayPal links up and say, can you donate? Can you donate? Can you donate? You know, it kind of boils me, really, because YouTube wasn't made for, you know, begging off people, having their money, and then, you know, whether you have or whether you haven't, or if you can't get down here to see me, right, I will give you £80 for you to come all the way down to meet me, to see me. You know, and then when that don't happen, then that person who's just spent that money, they've just been ripped off, because you've received money under false pretenses, because you received money and you haven't carried out what that money was intended for. You know, you also portray yourself to be like a gentleman. And, you know, like I say, I used to watch your content, you know, on your channel. And, you know, I've heard some things that, you know, are quite derogatory, to be fair with you, of how you call people names, you insult them. And I'm on the understanding that that's when you haven't had a smoke. You know, when you have the smoke, you kind of calm down, you chill out, and, you know, so I'm not getting at you because of that, because, you know, it's just not the way to carry yourself if you want to be a massive auditor within that community. You know, so BBA, just bear that in mind. You know, with what I'm saying here, I mean, you're more than welcome to jump on the panel, you know, and come and speak to me and put me right where I'm wrong. You know, I haven't got a problem about that. I'm going to stick the link out there, guys, if anybody wants to jump on. What makes it worse is I know who the person that made the donation is, but because of who the person is, I can't and wouldn't give the name. And BBA knows this, as he's tried to email the person since to bully. See, guys, I mean, there needs to be a point to come where, you know, it's a case where we need to stick together. you know, and rid YouTube of you know, these begs on the YouTube channel. I do believe I've got Torbs backstage. Let's get Torbs in on it. How you doing, brother?
I'm good, man. I'm good.
How's things?
All good, man. All good, mate. Yeah,
Yeah,
I just want to
I'm
pick
gonna
up
be.
on
I'm
what
gonna be.
Yogi was saying.
Yeah,
I've
I
got
mean,
the emails, man. I'm being told not to release them yet, but I've got them from the person we went to, and
yeah,
transactions and copies of transactions as well. And let's just say, you know, we're not going to name no one yet because we've been asked not to. But the person who donated is a female,
wow. So,
and
so it is true. I was bang on the button with, you know, what I was saying there as regards to someone donating. It would have been the same as me saying to you, Torbs, look, for me to come and see you, you've got to give me money. You know what I mean? It ain't never going to happen.
Well, you've gone up the road loads of times to make people.
yeah, I know, mate. It's fucking madness, man. You know, and I listened to him earlier on fucking the other ones panel, and and the stuff he's saying. It's like when I'm struggling, no one gives a fuck about me. You know, and my relatives just died. Who's that? Your second cousin once removed. You know what I mean, mate? It wasn't fucking long
Yeah.
ago that he was pissing on fucking people's mother's dead graves, man. You
Wow.
know,
Wow.
it's wrong, man. On so many levels, it's
See, the
wrong.
thing is, you'd expect that from, like, if I say my side of the community, you know, people will understand that, you know, I'm only venturing roughly now into the auditing side of the YouTube. But, you know, the side that I come from, you'd expect that behavior, you know, from our side, you know, not from somebody who's counted as, you know, highly respected in the auditing community. And I've seen a lot of derogatory comments he's made towards people as well. And
And it's mad. Sorry,
it's
yo.
about time someone stood up and brought this to the forefront to show, you know, that he's not all what he's making himself out to be.
It's mad, isn't it? Because the supermod, it's twice I've heard the supermod saying now. You know, when it's like you can't believe he's going to them lengths. Oh, I never seen that lab, or I wasn't in that Discord or whatever fucking group it was. I didn't hear it. Inconvenient, huh? Isn't it convenient? You never hear it when it gets to the fucking nitty gritty, the worst of the worst. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Huh?
And then the other factor I found is, you know, when 50 was doing clippings, you know, of everybody, you know, we're all open and we're all game, you know, to be clipped off 50, you know. But he was happy and hunky dory when 50 was clipping all these other channels. He never once reached out and said, "But 50, you're a bully or you're bullying." But as
Yeah.
soon as I noticed that 50 started clipping him, you know, once or twice, he starts using the bully card, and you know that's double standard, surely.
It's 100%. He's always double standards, man. You know, he's always double standards, man. It's
You know,
fucking
but as for
madness.
the begging, I mean, um, we can put our buy me a coffee link out, and then it's up to people if they want to buy us a coffee, you know, which is appreciated. Um, you know, we've got the chance to monetize our channel via YouTube, you know, to earn a few pennies that way. But where I draw the line is where people constantly, like BBA, puts links out, PayPal's, donate, 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 donate. But the problem becomes when somebody gives money for a specific purpose and that purpose ain't carried out. That means that they're out of pocket, you know, and
Yeah.
it could be someone young who might not miss the money, or you might have an older gentleman that will miss that money, you know. And I'm not sure to the case of JJ, you know, but I do know money's exchanged hands, and
Yeah, it
certainly,
wasn't JJ. It wasn't JJ who done it. It was a lady out the community.
you,
Um,
I'll come to have a look in the shed.
uh,
Excuse me.
Keys should be hanging up.
See if you watch in there.
Yeah, I mean, but when you put money somewhere and it's supposed to be for something and it ain't carried out, then to me that's kind of like
What's this cat doesn't dress, Steve?
a scam, if you ask me, because that money ain't been put for that purpose.
What's that cat doesn't get at you?
You know, and if I or you damage our phone, right, then it's down to us to replace that phone, not to beg off donations from our supporters who've made our channel to pay for the damage on our phone. That's our responsibility. And I mean, the way I've had some messages sent through, you know, to how he's spoken about people. You know, and do you want to tell me a bit more about that one, about the incident where he's saying about pissing on?
Yeah, so Belfast boy, I don't know what it started over, but basically said, and then went, and people would be thinking, did BBA say that? And he went, fucking right, I said that, and then repeated himself, you know, fucking got no shame, man, you know, and then he's been fucking poking at me for a fucking nearly a year, Steve, and I didn't fucking reply, you know, because Mel wasn't in a good place and she asked me not to, so I never. And didn't reply, and then he pokes, and then when I fucking retaliate, he's like, well, why you come for me now all of a sudden? Do you know what I mean, man?
And then he uses the buddy card, and no doubtedly, you know, he's going to be shouting and calling me a buddy, you know, because of me bringing to the attention, you know, this subject. But, you know, why didn't he call 50 a buddy when he's been clipping all other channels? Why all of a sudden, as soon as he clips PBA, does 50 then become a buddy? You know, that I just don't get
that. You couldn't make it up, Steve. Do you know what I mean? And I'm sure when he sets his own lab up, he must cringe with the stuff that he's saying, because fucking hell, man, how can you even believe that, man? What's coming out with his mouth? No, it wasn't Amanda. It'll all come out, guys. The only reason it's not is because the ladies asked me not to yet, but it has been sent.
Yeah,
and we've got.
I mean, I've spoke behind the scenes, you know, with someone regarding this, and you know, that's why I'm just briefly, you know, just touching on that, you know, because I don't want to interfere with what you guys are doing, you know. You know, the truth will all come out, guys. You know, I've got 100% trust, you know, in these two individuals, Torbs and 50, and you know, they don't do things, you know, without proof or, you know, just for the sake of it, you know, guys. And there is somebody in this equation, you know, that is out of pocket, and he hasn't received the service that money was paid for. He then went on to try and...
Not only that, he was out auditing not long ago in the area. It took him half an hour to go and pop in and say, hello, have a cup of coffee, you know what I mean? Supposed to be the kid's friend, you know, and he's shouting and screaming this morning, no, it was JJ who come on and kicked off, and that's why I stopped the lab. No, you stopped the lab because you let the £100 go, mate, and it made us all go and look into it. You named the £100, you realised, and what it is, mate, he's saying it's JJ who started. You know what I mean? Why didn't he leave the lab up then so everyone could see it was JJ started? But the people who were in the lab know exactly what happened.
See,
you know, and the people who've got it clipped know as well.
See, I think it even spilled over to Marie's channel, you know, because I briefly, you know, had a watch, and, you know, he was even, you know, bringing JJ's name up in a live, and JJ weren't even nowhere around. JJ was doing his own live at the time, and what's the point of speaking about someone behind their back? You know, BBA, the link's out there. You know, if you want to jump on and, you know, confront me with whatever I've said here today, then, you know, you're more than welcome. But then he went on to say he's going to be auditing in Telford, and, you know, he said 50 can come up and get off his chest, you know, what he needs to get off his chest. And if that isn't a kind of a threat, then I don't know, you know, what is. I mean, I would certainly turn up, you know, to shake his hand, as they say, you know, because it's in my hometown, and it would be rude if I didn't. You know, likewise, I was up in your town, and, you know, you and Nutter took the time and effort, you know, to come over and shake my hand, and, you know, we introduced each other, and the hospitality that you guys showed me was second to none.
Well, aye, mate, respect. And right back at you did us too.
You know, and to me, it would have been a crime if I didn't, because all right, I initially went over to go and see Brian and Emma, but you guys are in that same area, so if I would have just gone away, then I would have felt bad because I didn't take the opportunity to meet you guys. But I certainly didn't ask none of my subs or anyone to fund my trip over. And I just can't see how somebody can beg, for money that surely they've got their own income coming in.
Turn off flashlight.
Surely they're making their own money, but they don't need donations, especially if they're going to scam somebody and not go up and meet them after they've paid.
Do you know, Steve? Do you know on about the coffee link and that, mate? He's going about looking on everyone's coffee link and saying who sent who what, and then coming back and going, look, Dobbs has sent €50 game of money. He's in his pocket. No wonder. And I thought, why are you so invested in going about and looking at shit like that, man? Do you know what I mean?
And the only reason I'm doing this live and now, I ain't jumped on no one's bandwagon because I'm in my own lane with my content. The only reason that I've stepped my foot into the pond is because he was slagging 50 off over Christmas, over 50 not being able to get a turkey. So that's somebody less fortunate than us, that found themselves in hardship over that time. And he started slagging that person off. And that's why I'm speaking now. And I'm going to continue on this path until BBA understands, that he shouldn't be going around begging, and he most certainly shouldn't be ripping the hell out of people. And saying horrible, dirty, nasty things about them.
You haven't seen my stuff.
Big up, Abba.
Bag full of stuff. So we'll be fish tanks up here.
Well, yeah, it's mad, isn't it, guys? He was saying today, it's every day, it's everywhere I go. I've seen him for over a year go at me. You know what I mean? I'm Mel. And a mum who just passed away. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, that's what he said to me. He said, "Oh, how can you say this about me?" And I've had a death in my family, and I'm sorry for hearing that. But I can't work my content around any people.
I'll see you. I'm going now.
I create it as it comes, and I do feel sorry he's had the death of his family. Yes, I do. I mean, but that don't mean to say the world stops for me. And it's the right time for me to say what I've got to say because, like I say, I'm dipping my toe in the pond. There's me rabbiting away. I think UK ladies there.
And you know what, Steve? It was only 2 days that Mel's mum had passed away, and he was trying to use that and bring that into fucking poking at me. Do you know what I mean, mate? The kid's got no morals, man.
Evening, UK lady.
Evening. Yeah, I just wanted to try to contribute if I can, and try to see if we can come up with some solutions on how to deal with the current behavior that we're witnessing. I've not seen a lot of some of the things that have gone on, but I've seen enough. And like Torb said, he's quite happy to go in on people when they've lost a family member, but yet wants us to be lenient with him and not bring up and mirror what he's done because he's had a death. And I understand that things are sad for him, and I get that, but why should we give him any more respect than he's given the rest of the community?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's the first time I've ever spoke to a UK lady, and normally I wouldn't put a subject up as strong as this if I felt that there was no need for it. I mean, but I know there's two sides to every story, but from what I'm seeing, if you're going to get a donation off your subs, bearing in mind these are the people that make your channel because you ain't got subs and you ain't got no views and your channel's like dead dormant.
Well, I think that's the only way that we're going to get rid of a lot of these people that antagonize and cause problems within the community is to completely ignore them and make them irrelevant long enough for them to go away. That's how we're going to get rid of the likes of Crinkly and all the other ones that tend to cause havoc, or at least it'll hopefully modify their behavior enough so they'll at least behave on their own panels.
Big up Ministry of Madness. This is why, I'm a very controversial guy, and I've dipped me foot in many ponds. With my content. But when I see something like this, I need to speak up. I need to say, what maybe others are feeling, but they don't want to say.
Yeah, because
And
there's a lot of people out there that don't have the confidence to come out there and say, listen, this is wrong. We need to speak up.
but quite frankly, you don't beg for donations, and then when you get a proper donation, I mean, of a substantial amount, £80 to me is a substantial amount, because that could feed your belly for like 2-3 months, or it could pay a couple of bills. And then when they're given that money to specifically go down to see a person or an individual, and they
£100.
money, they don't go down to see him, then that's wrong in my eyes. And people need to be waking up and realizing you don't have to give these content creators money.
No.
It's for us to create the content for you guys. If you buy us a coffee, then what do you reckon, Torbs?
Yeah, 100%. I'm with you, man. I'm with you. I was only saying today, you won't be seeing PayPal links fucking pinned at the top of my laps in the chat. What you'll be seeing is people like yourself, people, other content creators' channels, they'll be pinned and asking people to go over, and fucking check the channels out and subscribe,
I mean, don't get me wrong, Torbs. I mean, I'm not against people putting PayPal links up. I mean, but that's fair and square. But when you're actually begging, if you put your PayPal link in, and it's up to the individual who's watching, who's subscribed to you for such a long time, if they want to pay into your PayPal, then that's great. I'm not against that one. But what I'm against is the begging side. How BBA does it. He begs all the time, puts the link up. If you just put the link up, then it just gives the person a chance. If they put money in, then they can. I'm not against that. Not at all. But what I am against is the begging side, and then the begging side expecting their subs to pay for them to get from A to B. Take for argument, if you wanted to go out and do an audit,
Steve, right? My car, when I wasn't about
money, are you?
I wasn't about long, right, mate? And my car broke, turbo on me Passat, and it was going to cost over £1,000. There was a lady who was saying to me, "Put your PayPal link up," and I fucking refused flat. Fucking flat refused, and she badgered me and badgered me. And we fucking, I didn't want to. I was like, no, I didn't come here to fucking put PayPal links up, man. You know what I mean? Didn't come to do that, man. And I ended up giving in and putting it up, but fucking, I swear to God, mate, it was like for about fucking 4 days. I was like, no, I'm not doing it. I refuse, point blank refused to do it. And she tapped into me, she tapped into the 12 steps stuff, and emailed me and called me selfish. You're selfish, man. You're taking people's choice away if they want to win. At the end of the day, that PayPal link's still there. What it is, you never hear me going on about that PayPal link. I can't remember the last time I've ever mentioned that PayPal. It's there. The people want them, that's on them. But what it is, you wouldn't hear me going, "Oh, I need a new drone. I'm only this much away."
Exactly.
If you want to put the paper, if you want to put it into the PayPal so I can get the drone even quicker, then that would be very much appreciated. You know where to find that PayPal link, don't you? Well, if you don't, I'll tell you now. You know what I mean, man? Fucking get some morals, man.
Exactly. And this is the side that people need to speak up about. And I know a lot of people don't want to upset the apple cart, and they're hard in on the auditing community. But I'm sure that the words I speak is from quite a few people that wants to see someone stand up and say something. That's the controversial side to me. I'm not frightened to be called a bully because of my words coming out, because I know I'm not a bully.
No, you're not a bully, mate. You're entitled. You say, let me go. Let me tell you this as well. I'd come on a live and I end up mentioning about Johnny being bad, and JJ starts saying, "Send Tom some money," and I begged and said, "JJ, listen, I don't want it. I'm not here for that, man. It's mad, man, isn't it? It really is.
I mean,
really is.
What do you think, UK lady? Have you had much experience from the auditing side, or?
Well, we saw, what can happen when somebody gets a bit crazy with donations and where that can lead and people being dishonest and things. So I don't think that people want to see a repeat of that. And I think that's where a lot of the issues lie. We don't want to see vulnerable women and individuals who are struggling to make their own ends meet,
Yeah,
getting caught up in
100%.
somebody else's mess.
And there's a lot of vulnerable people in this fucking community, man.
Mm.
You
Well, a
know
lot
what
of
I
people
mean?
are lonely. That's why they're on YouTube all day.
I
And I get
know,
that.
and it's sad, man. Yeah, but it's sad that when people are preying on that law,
Yeah.
you lady, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's fucking wrong. And it's
Yeah.
like,
And it's
where's
just,
the moral?
where do we stop? How do we actually find a way forward and find a way to actually, discuss these things? And, maybe he is willing to have a conversation with somebody and say, listen, I know I've fucked up and made a mistake. And fair enough if he does. You know, we can't say much to that either, but
I
I'd
mean,
like
the
to
only thing
see
you
a
can really
long-term
do is
change
just
in behavior.
bringing it to the forefront, isn't it, UK ladies? To speak about this thing and people will realise and understand there is an issue. There is a problem surrounding, if someone's going to go donate to you with a purpose and that purpose isn't carried out, then we have the right to bring it to the forefront. So, we can bring the awareness, of exactly what's happening. And, that's exactly what I'm doing tonight, bringing the awareness of one individual and what his antics have been. You can't claim to be a top auditor because there's a lot of speculation and eyes are going to be on you. If you
And
want to reach
definitely, if
the
you're going to
top.
start auditing places, you need to
Top
know the
bully,
law
man.
inside out and have a good bit of dignity.
He hasn't got a clue. He hasn't got a clue. No, no, man. He hasn't got a clue. It's just a bandwagon for him to jump on.
I mean, I'll definitely show up if like he said, he's going to come to Telford. He's chucked out an invite, for someone to go down and meet him while he's doing a live audit and get it off his chest. Now, I will do that, in a respectful way. The invite's been given out of his mouth. He said, he's open for an invite. I will go along. He was aiming it at 50, but at the end of the day, I know 50 will turn up and 50 will, do it respectfully, to get whatever grievance it is off his chest.
That's what I'd like to see. I'd like to see people be able to resolve conflict without getting personal, without getting nasty. I know I do it. I'm one of the worst for it.
Oh.
But I'd like to see people to just be able to move forward and disagree without being just so vile. Or saying things like, oh, I'll give you £30 donation money if you kick so-and-so out of your chat. I mean, how juvenile is that?
Exactly. And then and the stuff that I have heard, as he's been speaking to people and the derogatory comments that he's actually put to them. He's quite frankly not somebody who's like wanting to make it big in the auditing world. That'll come from somebody like from my side of the YouTube community where we love the drama.
See, the problem is he thinks he's big. He thinks he's big, mate. He thinks he's big in the game. He thinks he's knee deep in the game. In fact, he's the king, isn't he? Isn't he the king? He had to step up to the plate.
But even if you look at it like the big people that have look at Charlie Veach, look at PJ Audits, look at AB, all the people that have made it big. They're not out there on live streams slagging people off. They're not begging for donations.
Exactly.
They're engaging with people occasionally, but they don't stick around these lives and get into all the drama.
Yeah.
No. I mean, I've watched Charlie Veach. I love watching his content. It's controversial and it's different each time. That's where it all started for me, on getting involved and dipping my foot into the auditing world. It was DJ and PJ, the one with the dreadlocks, and I watched a lot of his content and found it really interesting. And because one of my good friends of 25 years is also in the auditing world, which is Yogi's world, there was always that interest for me to like float across, because normally I'd be on the drama side of YouTube, I call it, because, I'm a controversial person. I've made mistakes. I've had to come back from a major mistake that I made about 1.5 years ago. But that's how the auditing world should be a heck of a lot different. But the way BBA is running the auditing community is not how these other auditors quite see it. He won't ever make it to the top. Just because he's got 24k subs, somebody can have 10k subs but churn out better content. than that person with 24k subs.
You can have 24,000 subs that don't even speak English. That doesn't mean that they're going to sit and watch your videos.
Go
Well,
on, that's
exactly.
right, that as well. Spot on, UK lady. That's
You know,
exactly.
I'm all
If
for
you
giving
won't
people a
get,
second chance, and you know, say that he does come back all humble and apologizes. I do think that there's a lot of people that will
see,
never
Sam,
forgive and
see that
forget,
fucking.
but people
Sorry to
could move
interrupt.
on. You know, if he took
Yeah,
some
I can.
responsibility, maybe.
I'll never. Do you know what I tried, man, with him? Reached out. Here's an example for you, right? So, Mrs. Torv used to do Addiction Lab in the morning. I used to sit with her, and my good friend Paul T's come in the chat, and Mrs. Torv's chat, going, "Oh, I'm worried about BBA. He's on a lab. He's down. He's talking about committing natty carry, and you know, he'd been going at me, man. So I had his number, and tried to ring him, didn't answer. So I texted him, you know, saying, fucking, I know we don't speak, blah, blah, blah. But if you're feeling that way, then put the phone down for a bit, man. Put the camera down for a bit. Take some time out. You'll choose to leave. You know, I've tried, but you know what? He's wicked, man. He's fucking wicked. And the wickedness that comes out of that man's mouth, if you can call him a man, right? There's too much water under the bridge.
Yeah,
I'll
I
never
get
forgive
that.
him, man. I never
And we've
say
all done
never,
things that
but
we regret in the past, and we've all tried to make amends. Most of us, anyway. But yeah, I get what you're saying. I could never do
yeah, but
auditing because I'm too emotional. You know, I'd get up there and some cop would say the wrong thing to me, and that would be it. I'd lose it.
you know, there's apologising and then there's making the same mistake and then there's apologising and then making the same mistake and then apologising and that fucking apologise and then becomes fucking meaningless, mate. If you're going to apologise, my understanding is, yeah,
I mean,
that's it.
a bit like me, Torbs. I made probably one of the biggest errors, you know, within the YouTube community, you know, by supporting a certain individual. But, you know, I've asked people to judge me on my comeback. You know, I've learned from that mistake, and I certainly ain't going to make that sort of mistake the second time. You know, but when you get second, third, fourth, fifth chance, which I understand BBA has with different individuals, you know, that's no way you're going to make it to the top in anyone's book, because, like I say, there's always eyes on you. There's always eyes coming in from different angles and watching what work you're doing and what's going on with BBA and him and BBA and him and BBA and him.
Well, do
You
you
know,
think
there's
some of the
always going
drama
to be
is
eyes on you.
do you think some of the drama is contrived, and that perhaps that you know he's thinking that maybe more clicks means more money?
Who knows, man? Who knows? But I don't think he can be that derogatory. And derogatory is an understatement anyway. Fucking wicked. You can't be that wicked, man. And it just be for views and clicks and money, man. You know, because some of that stuff that comes out of his mouth, right? You've got to be fucking deranged in the head to for it even enter your head. Never mind leave the lips. Never
Yeah.
mind leave the tongue.
I have to
You've
admit,
got to
I've
be
heard things on
deranged,
YouTube
man.
that it's just I would never even consider because I'm just not that way wired.
That's what I'm saying. You know, for it to even enter some of the stuff in the, you know, telling people you're going to piss on the dead mother's grave, man. You know, you've got to be deranged, man. There's got to be something seriously lacking for that to even enter your head. Not, never mind. Oh, well, I said it because I was pissed off and so and so was going at me. And so, you know, so and so was fucking going at me. But there's some things that would never come into my head. Never mind leave my fucking tongue.
You've got to learn to just walk away sometimes and just leave YouTube alone.
See, to me, what the question I would like to ask him is if he didn't receive no donations of his subs and members that week, if he didn't receive any donations, would he not go out and create content? That's the question that I'd like to ask him. Meaning, if he had to pay out of his own pocket, would he go out and do it? You know, that's one question if you want to ask BBA. You know, if he didn't
That'll be a no. That'll be a no because he hasn't got the money in his own pocket to do it. That'd be a no. We know.
So
He hasn't got
therefore,
the
you
money in his pocket to do that.
use subs to create content, which, you know, again is wrong in my eyes. You know, you can't run your channel in that respect, and I'm surprised that a lot of people haven't opened their eyes to realise this.
I think a lot of people are starting to say, you know, I've said it, you know, and not just about him. It goes for anyone. The light will always shine bright. Whatever you do in the dark has to come into the light, and it doesn't matter how long it takes. And you might think you've gone away with for this long and that long, and fucking hell, it always comes into the light. and the light will always shine bright. It doesn't matter who you are and how many subscribers you've got now, but it doesn't matter if you think you're the king, if you think you're fucking bottom of the pile, the light shines, and it shines bright.
It's like
Yeah, try to
building
always
a
be above
channel
it.
over money, and that's not what we're in the game for. We're here. It's for us to create content for you guys.
Well, I think with that kind of thinking, if somebody would like to donate me one of those air fryers, I'll do all kinds of cooking shows.
Go on.
I've got a massive podcast coming up like very soon. I'm working behind the scenes at the moment. That's why I couldn't do the live last night. I was on a 3-hour phone call, which is about grooming of children in the whole area. I've got to sit back and wait for a court case to finish. And then I'm going to have the biggest podcast I've ever done as an exclusive on my channel as regards to this certain individual. And I'm really looking forward to that. And it was just the phone call came at 6 o'clock, and I didn't get off the phone till like 8, half 8. And that's why I couldn't do the live last night. But I've got somebody who's who is it now? Narrative Destroyer. He's obsessed with me, and yesterday when I didn't go live, he'd done a clip and put it on his channel, and I've said to him, be careful, because, he's blaming me because I took his last channel down with strikes. And, that's from me. If someone's going to use my content and I know they're going to use it in a derogatory way against me, then I've got every right to use the facilities that YouTube offer, to put a copyright strike in, and that's exactly what I've done. Lost his channel, but then he's come straight back. The very first video he's made was about me. So big up Narrative Destroyer. I'll give you your shout out, what you so much deserve of my time. Just be careful, with what you clip off my content. I'm not a horrible guy, but when he's used against me in a derogatory manner, of course I'm going to use the tools at my facility, to stop that from happening. I've created a lot of hate. I mean, there's still some people out there that still hate me from a mistake I made a year and a half ago, that may never forgive me. But to all those people that gave me the benefit of the doubt and a second chance, I brought my channel back better and bigger. But not once have I ever begged any money or donations off anyone.
And I've also, but you've learned from that experience as well. There's massive things that you've taken away from that.
I mean, I learned my lesson the hard way, you could say. So I can sit here and say that, I am a genuine guy, and, if I spit hate about somebody, I'll try not to. That's why I've chose to do this live, to bring to the forefront my thoughts and opinions about people that beg for money. You don't need money to do content creating. And when I see somebody getting kicked when they're down, then I'm going to dip my foot in that water to say what I feel. And when I see someone given money and that hasn't been used for that purpose, then that to me is just a scam.
Yeah. And that's not good for the community or anyone in that situation, really, is it?
And the problem is that's giving a bad name to the other auditors then, you see. So there is a ripple effect.
Of course.
Like if you chuck a stone in the river, you're going to get like ripples, aren't you? And that's exactly what's going to happen. People have realised that he can get donations, so the next one's going to put out for donations, and before you know it, you end up in this scenario. When someone gives you money, you don't spend it where it's supposed to be.
Do you think that the donations thing is addictive, and it's like some competition they try to like fixate on how much, like a gambling addiction, where they're trying to constantly top up and do more extreme things and completely go for it?
Well, I mean, if he's got to use donations to create content, then he's in the wrong game. You can't beg for donations just to create that content. We all have to pay out of our own pocket. I've got a paranormal investigation coming up, and it's costing me. It's costing me like a bit shy of about £120. But you don't see me putting begs out there, I'm going to do a wicked paranormal investigation, but you know, I need your donations.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm going to
don't
pay
see
for
that.
that because it's you know, something I enjoy doing,
Go on.
Yeah.
and
Most of
I'm
the
going to
people that are on
produce some
here do,
content
you know,
for you
they're
guys.
doing content that they enjoy.
Mm. I mean, like I say, you know, I'm not against people putting PayPal links out, but when you put a PayPal link out and you're constantly begging throughout that life, that's what I'm against.
Yeah.
You know, if you
Well,
put
and
the
the
link
abuse of
out there,
others.
if you put the link out there and say you ignore it, you know, and someone donates to it, that's fair and square because you haven't. If you look at begging on the street, it's illegal, you know.
Mm.
So wouldn't it?
Yeah, isn't it?
Shouldn't it be the same on here?
Yeah, that's true. And what gets me and what winds me up is that everyone that donates to that individual, regardless of whoever's being nasty, the minute you start giving that individual money that is being nasty to other people, particularly for a lot of reasons unknown, um, irregardless, you know, I don't want to pay somebody that's going to support you. Or let me rephrase that.
Well, it's
If
not.
somebody is paying you and you're doing all these horrible things, then
Well, you're not
that
going to
that
give
person
money
is
to
not worth my
somebody.
time.
Well, you're not going to give money to somebody, and then you know that they're slagging off one of your mates.
Exactly.
Say they.
But what does that say about the people that are giving him money? They're actually paying for him to say these horrible things to people.
Yeah, you could say that. Yeah, you could say that. I mean, because they're in support of that individual. Now, if he's going to go and badmouth somebody, then you're basically supporting that.
So is it just a sponsored slagathon, or people just sending him money to say bad things about certain individuals? You know, that's something I've always thought about.
Mm. You know, but I mean, there's a lot of smaller channels within that auditing community that I watch quite often. You know, take Torbs for instance. I'll use Torbs as an example. You know, I've watched his content for quite a while now, and everyone's got their own different unique style, you know, and how they want to approach the content that they want to bring out, and that's what I find entertaining about Torbs.
Yeah,
You
that's
know,
what I really like about Torbs' channel, because it's quite varied. He talks about lots of different things other than auditing as well, if you know what I mean.
I mean, like when I was up in Borough, you know, we went off to the cafe, we had a coffee, and then Torbs took me on a little tour, you know, of his town. But never once did he ever ask me for fuel money. You know, I would have offered to put fuel, you know, into his car.
I'd have knocked you back, man.
You probably would have, yeah. I mean, you know, but I could have. Tubbs could have quite easily said to me, "Oh, you're in my car, so you know, put a fiver in, and you know, we'll have a little tour around." But that was never the case. You
Yeah.
know, that's just an example. Now, I think if BBA was to do that, I'm sure it would either be begging donations off people to say, "I'll put money in my account so I can pay for fuel for someone."
Mm.
Um,
Is this a common thing on TikTok too? Because I don't follow that app.
I haven't got a TikTok account, to be fair with you. You know, so I'm not clued up on
Yeah, but
TikTok.
I don't go on there much though. But I think what it is when that TikTok, you go live and they send you what's it called? Fucking gifts. Yeah, it's called
Mm.
gifting. They send so you can buy like I don't know, fucking roses and
So
different
it's like OnlyFans,
emojis.
but without the sex.
Yeah,
Well,
so different emojis. It's like a super chat, yeah, but what it is, you buy emojis and send them. So a rose will be
God,
worth
it's
like
not
a
with the
quid,
sex.
and then I don't know, a fucking baseball cap might be worth a fiver. All the way up to fucking daft money as well, you know. It's called a
Mm.
universe. I don't know how much them are, but it's fuck. And then if someone sends someone a universe, whoever's on that app at the time gets a notification. The full fucking platform.
Wow.
It's off it, man. It's off it. But
Well, at least people know, and you've got a bit more transparency there, I suppose.
yeah, yeah, it's mad.
I
People
mean,
make mad money.
I did
it's
put
not a good
go ahead.
example to set, though, is it, for the auditing community?
No, no.
You know, and like I say, people could look at that and think, well, that comes within the auditing community. So everybody else down the line, you know, is going to be wanting donations. And I mean,
Yeah, because it's a
where
representative.
do you draw the line? You draw the line when somebody's out of pocket,
Mm.
you know, and he hasn't received a visit, you know, for that money. So my question is BBA, why didn't you go? And B, where's the money now?
Mm.
And if you're such a righteous man as you claim to be,
I can answer that for you.
send that money back to the person. Won't
Yeah,
that make you
that's the
feel a lot
one.
better in yourself?
That's the one. That's the one as well. That's the fucking one. Send it back, man. I can answer both questions. A, what was it? A, why didn't you go? Because he didn't have no intention to. And B, where's the money? In the drug dealer's pocket, mate. And
So
C,
if you're genuine
300
kind
quid's in his lungs,
thing,
man. It's in his lungs, bruv. Fucking sad, isn't it?
I mean, if you're the stand-up guy that you are, now I'm bringing it to the attention. Please send that money back to the individual, because you never did go down to visit them, and I'm quite happy that they've given you that money, and they're less £80 out of their own pocket.
100. It's 100 quid, Sting. 100 quid.
£100 was it?
Yeah.
So BBA, do the right thing. Send that money back to the gentleman, and save a bit of face.
And I think moving forward, it might be an idea for him to show that he wants to, portray the auditing community in a more positive light through some actions,
Yeah, I get you, Michelle. Business. He thinks it's a business. Or he's trying to work with a business, isn't he?
But I left an open letter on my community page this week explaining that these violent threats have got to stop, man, because you're going to make the violent threat to the wrong person, or somebody's going to see that is going to take a very serious attitude to it.
Yeah.
And they won't just go on a live and say, I'm coming to see you. They will just turn up and you won't know.
Yep. 100%. I've said that for time, UK lady. Ginge, never mind. What about the donations to go to London? What about the donations to go to Peter Pope's that he was never going to, man? You know what I mean? And labelling people as sex offender, guys. No one fell fucking full well coming and saying, I've got 3 people who've told me and they've got text to prove it. Knowing full well that's bullshit. Willing to label someone that kind of thing. You know where I come from? Labelling people that gets them hurt, man. You know what I mean? People get hurt round here for being one of them.
Definitely.
You know what I mean? But he's happily, you know what I'm saying? He's wicked, man. He's fucking wicked, man. And there's
if he's running this like a business, is he registered with Company's House?
He probably won't be, because he's. See,
well, we can check. You can check, can't you?
Yeah, that might be worth it.
PP. OTT, put my PayPal out, mate. I've done bird for robbery and I'm missing out. Big up PP. I mean, it's not. I mean, I have a little laugh, but I mean, to me, it's serious, because you got your own income coming in. If not, get off your fat arse and get a job, and then you'll be able to go out and pay from A to B. I mean, I went up to Borough, to go and visit Brian and Emma Cockerell. I didn't once ask anybody to donate anything anyway, which way, shape or form. As it happened, it was a great trip for me, because not only did I meet Brian and Emma, but I met Torbs and I met the Nutter Channel. But I just don't like the idea where people are, trying to run their channel by donations, and if they don't receive a donation, then they won't go out and get that content, that their subscribers so desperately wants to see on a daily basis. And then to slag a lot of people off and call, it'd probably be putting it all over. I'm a bully now. I've jumped on their bandwagon, but, I've jumped on no one's bandwagon. I've not spoke behind the scenes to anybody. This is what I've decided to do myself, to bring this awareness forward. Because
and people need to understand there's a massive difference in describing somebody and their actions and insulting them. If we're holding a mirror up to what you've done and people are playing clips as to what you've actually said, then perhaps maybe you should reconsider your thought about that.
I mean, I wouldn't feel right in myself if that gentleman sent me 100 quid. Oops. Sorry, UK lady, I flipped the bloody mouse by mistake. Sorry about that. I wouldn't feel right in myself if that gentleman sent me 80 quid and I couldn't get down to see him for whatever reason, or I spent the money on whatever. I'd certainly give him straight back that money, because that's the right thing to do. If I don't go down to see that person, then he deserves his money back.
Yeah, that's just a basic moral code. I've been saying all along that we need a kind of code of ethics for the YouTube communities, and maybe the auditing community should have a written one as well.
I mean, where does it end? I mean, the only thing we can do is just bring it to the forefront for awareness, and he can sit there and slag me off as much as he likes. I'm thick-skinned. I've been through a heck of a lot with a lot better trolls. I've had like 50 trolls on my case. But do the right thing, BBA. Do the right thing. Send this gentleman back his money.
And I'll be the first person to admit I've got the wickedest tongue you could imagine sometimes, but I don't go after people just out of, lack of donations or being nasty. There's always a reason behind it. And most of the time, it's just people having a laugh on the chat. People think that we're being serious. But, and I've made mistakes and I apologize to those people. And hopefully they've been able to accept it. But I think this goes well beyond any kind of, rude words that I might say that might get somebody's feelings a bit hurty.
But I mean, it's certainly not right the way that he talks about people. I don't know what more I can say because I don't run my channel that way. Torbs don't run his channel that way, and there's a heck of a lot of other channels that don't run it that way. I'll go out and create content whether I've got money in my pocket or not. Torbs will go and create content whether he's got money in his pocket or not. Just think before you start doing any more BBA. I know that you're watching. I've given you the opportunity. You can jump on, and
I'll jump off if he wants to. In fact, I'm going to jump off anyway. But I was saying, I'll jump off anyway if you want to come on. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was just thinking.
Yeah, but he ain't
I
going to
always
jump
try to be the
on, is
voice of
he?
reason and give people a chance.
I mean, he's not going to jump on though, is he?
Stranger things have happened, but I dare say you're right. He's not. He hasn't got. He knows he's get grilled, man.
I'm more than happy.
Oh, go ahead.
When it comes into auditing in Telford, I'd be more than happy to, pop down to see him. I won't bring any violence or be rude or anything like that. It'd just be a civil conversation. But is that an American accent you've got, UK lady?
Yeah. Another thing that I mentioned as well is, if I had 27,000 subscribers, I'd be very careful about what I put out there because I'd be worried about my children seeing it. And, that's something else to consider. These aren't just adults watching a lot of these channels.
I mean, the auditing side needs to be kept clean. And, he's just dirty in the water, as they say. But all he's doing is making himself look bad, in that process. So, anything else, Torbs, you reckon that we can touch on?
I'm just about to jump out, Steve, with my mum. I'm going to get the dogs out and that, mate. Getting the dogs out and that, mate. Well, thanks for having us on.
Yeah, no worries. Anytime you want to jump on, talk.
Have a good night.
And listen, it's good to see that. It's good to see someone out of the auditing community that's, fucking seeing it for what it is, man. You spoke a lot of sense and a lot of truth, and it highlights it, doesn't it? And then you know what? If you've saved one fucking vulnerable person from sending money and getting scammed, you left, right, and centre, then it's been worth it, hasn't it, mate? So big up, Steve, lad.
Yogi's World. He has now deleted everything that has him in a bad light on both grills and the main channel.
That's no
There's that much shit, man. I could point you when you mount the channels that there's that much fucking stuff on him, man, that he can delete what he wants, man.
And that's the problem is you don't have control over that once it's out there. You don't have.
I mean, once they delete it, memories don't lie. People have got memories, to remember. Hopefully he would have seen this and he'll do the right thing now and send that gentleman back his money. I'm not getting on at you. I'm not digging at you. I'm not bullying you. In any way, shape, or form. This is just an open opinion on a subject that I hold close to my heart. That if you're going to beg and then not carry out the money, then to me that's a scam, and you need to be brought to the forefront with your behaviour.
He's always calling. Hey, listen, I'll leave you with this. He's always calling people begs, always labeling people begs. I'll leave you with that.
Right.
Thanks for having us on.
It was
Yeah,
great
cheers
chatting
Paul,
with you.
for coming on. Much respect.
I'll catch you later, Steve. You okay, lady? Catch you later.
Have a good one.
Everyone in the chat, catch us later, man. And I'm out, man. Respect.
The other thing that I keep thinking about as well, that keeps coming into my mind, is when people make these donations or these super chats or whatever, is the individual who's in receipt of them able to see their personal details, like their name and their address and their phone number?
I'm not sure. I haven't gone down the avenue of monetizing my channel. I mean, I could have done it. My channel's only been going about 8 months, but
I know with PayPal you do.
I've never received a PayPal, so I've never.
Oh, okay.
I wouldn't be able to answer that one. But
So
somewhere
if
down
you
the
were
line,
just going to like say that you know you were going to send me money for a coffee and send me £3 on PayPal, I would see your full name and your unless you specifically hide it, I think I see your return address and everything as well. So that's
I mean,
another concern.
I've received a buy me a coffee, and all you see is basically whatever name the person's put, and the amount of the donation. You don't see any like personal
that's good.
details on buy me a coffee. But as for PayPal, you know, I wouldn't be able to answer that. I'm not sure.
Well, I've used it for donkey's years, so I know that unless you go through specific steps to hide things, they can always see your email address, your contact phone number, your address, and things.
Are you
So that's
actually
something that
in
people need to
America?
think
Are
about.
you?
No,
Yeah.
I'm here in Lincolnshire.
Oh, right. I
East
mean, because
Midlands,
I've
yeah.
started reaching out stateside, you know, with my channel, and there's quite a few channels. There's oh, what's the guy's name that I watch all the time? It's a Terrence kind of thing.
I've not seen
You
that
know,
one. I'll have to have a look.
I've kind of like linked up with him. I've been on his panel, and he's come on over and come onto my panel. And instead of me just sticking around the UK, you know, I want to start branching out because it's like a different world over there stateside than what it is over
Definitely.
here in the UK.
Totally different. But it's so interesting because there's so many different things because you'll have a different perspective than somebody that say lives there. So when you team up with people, you know, it kind of gives you a whole new world and way of looking at things.
Oh, Yogi's Wells just said, yeah, you get to see their email. So I'll take it that's through. Is that through a PayPal? Is it Yogi's World? Buy me a coffee is 100% transparent. It's there for all to see. So I assume when you send a PayPal that you actually get to see their email address that they send it from.
I think that's the reason that a lot of people are striking channels now, because they know if the person replies, they get to see all of their contact details.
I mean, I've never really wanted to build my channel on money because I enjoy doing the content that I do. You know, and if it's meaning I've got to pay out my pocket, you know, then that make my content more interesting, you know, for people. But I would never ask for a penny off anyone to run my channel.
Well, it just makes me wonder why would having lots of people's different personal information be so important?
But I'm glad that he must have been watching for him to delete all the stuff off his channel that makes
maybe it
him
is giving him a chance to think about things.
So, you know, maybe something might come good of this. I don't know. But, you know, I'm a controversial person and pick controversial subjects without trying to come across as a bully or, you know, just picking on an individual for the sake of it.
Yeah,
Whereas a lot of people
I do have a go at Gamer and
opinions.
stuff in chat, but there's times that Gamer has been lovely in chat. You know, he just grates on me after a while, as some people do.
But I've noticed a difference though between stateside and over here. I mean, there's a lot of less arguing over stateside.
Really? I would expect it to be worse.
I would have thought that.
There's so many diverse political aspects over there, and they really, really do polarize it.
I mean, I learned quite a lot, you know, from speaking to channels, you know, from across the pond. And the one thing that stood out most is like over here, we've got like the National Health Service. You know, so if we're injured or whatever, we can go to hospital, we get fixed, and we don't pay. Over here, we've got a lot of organisations which help people with mental health issues, and that's all paid for by the government via the taxpayers' money. And you know what I've learned is over there stateside, If you now, this was a bit worrying for me, to be fair with you, because the percentage of people that suffer from mental health issues
Hmm. Yeah.
over in America, what I found distressing is if they've got mental health issues, but they haven't got the money to pay to help to get them to get fixed or to receive medication,
Hmm.
to help reduce the mental stress from the issues that
And
they
remember
have.
that medication is marked up 5,000%. Then
They they're getting no help whatsoever, so
no,
they
they're
have
just
to
left to
live with
suffer.
that day in day out with no help.
And that's why you see large areas like Skid Row in California, where you've got massive areas of people that have wound up homeless because they can't conform to society because they have these issues that are never tackled. And I'm so grateful for the NHS because I don't want us to ever become that.
Yep, amen for the NHS, because if a lot of us, I mean, that was a major point for me, because over here we can get the help, for mental health issues that we suffer, which is great. The National Health has done so much to help so many, but yet, like I say, stateside, if you ain't got the money, you can't get the cure. So you got to live with that
Yeah.
issue
I
mentally
had a
day.
nephew that broke his leg in an accident. He was in a car accident and he didn't have health insurance. And before they'd let him leave the hospital, he had to essentially sign away his wages and things for like the next 5 years, a portion of his wages.
I mean, that's where I'm grateful. I know we pay for it through our taxes. I mean, but I'm grateful that
Mm.
I won't have a bill if I was stateside for a holiday and had an accident and say broke my leg. I'm going to get a hefty bill.
Yeah,
Unless
and
I've got the right insurances like in place. And
well, and I've had family come over to visit from America, and they've gotten ill while they were here, and they went to see a doctor and just paid a private fee here, and they were amazed at how, number one, how good the care was and how quick it was, and number two, how cheap it was, because it's just completely and totally rated differently. Um, and you see these stories about people going on holiday and somebody gives birth and has this hospital bill for £200,000, and that's just normal every day over there.
mm,
But imagine if one of the things that I used to talk about in politics is, there's a lot of countries in the world that don't even recognize mental illness. So what happens in those cultures and those countries when their people get sick and they just, what do they do with that?
I mean, so that's why I'm grateful. For the National Health Service, and I know they're under a lot of strain and stress at the moment. But at least we've got that facility over here, to get the help like that we require.
And do you
Um,
think that's one of the pulls for the people that are coming over here unannounced and without going through immigration properly? That's the nicest
I
way
mean,
I can put that.
to be honest with you, I don't really, get involved with politics as such, but um, we have got an issue. We have got a problem with migration. I mean, at the moment, there's a lot of auditors that are going around auditing hotels where
Hmm.
they've been putting up the asylum seekers.
Hmm.
Um, again, it's being paid for by the tax man. The working class people are paying for that.
Yeah, but you also have to think that I'm grateful that a lot of these auditors are doing that because number one, I think the police need to be policed in a lot of these demonstrations.
I
And
mean, I'm
number
all
two, I
for.
think that a lot of things are happening that we aren't being told about.
I mean, I'm all for the ones that come over,
Yeah,
properly, and
yeah, like me.
they settle into our country and they work, and they live exactly how we do. Then I'm absolutely 1,000,000% for that. But the ones that are deliberately just coming to take,
Mm.
I
Well,
understand that they might be escaping a war, or whatever the situation is that they're escaping
mm,
from, but they've got to also understand there's channels and ways that
yeah.
they need to like filter through,
Well, you
um,
go to the first port of entry that's safe is usually the way.
not only for the economy, but also for the safety.
Yeah, yeah, because look at all the people that are dying now because they're getting caught up in these horrible waters and things, and it's not safe for anybody.
Mm.
But when I came here to this country to live many, many years ago, over 20 years ago, I had to fill out forms and go through all kinds of checks and background checks and vetting and file fees and every, go down to the embassy every year. And I had to go through hell just to stay in this country, and I have a very high skill set. They were begging for me to come over here. So why can't the people that are coming from, because I was not from I was from a non-Commonwealth or non-EU country, I was put through a lot of scrutiny because the immigration process is separate for those. And I don't understand why the immigration process isn't the same for everyone, regardless of what country you're from. Why don't you have to pay those fees and go through 5 years of waiting and have to go to London every year and swear an oath and have to do a citizenship test? That
Because I've
I
got
think
a
it should be
feeling
flat
that
out.
over the next 5 to 7 years, I think the UK is going to be like America, where we have to pay, for our health, and hospital and stuff. I can see it, in the next 5 to 7 years, that we won't have that facility available to us. We're going to have to pay, just like, like the other countries outside the UK.
Hmm.
I could definitely see that coming.
I think what first will happen is I think that they will make it so you have to pay for non-urgent issues, like they do with dentistry and things, and then people will leave their health to get in such a state that it will wait until they get into an urgent issue. So people will die off before they get to have any preventative care.
Let's have a look down the chat and see what.
I've been really getting into the whole true crime stuff, so I'm very cynical.
I mean, I originally based my channel on the grooming gangs here in Telford. And then I ventured. I wanted experience of interviewing people. I've done maybe about 4 or 5 interviews. So I've got a little bit of experience of that under my belt, and then I went back to do a bit more on the grooming gangs, and then just recently I've started getting involved with paranormal investigations.
Yeah. You said that you've got one coming out. Tell me about that.
We're doing another one Saturday. I've done 1, 2, 3, 4 paranormal investigations now. Is coming from a position where I did not believe in any of that. I was one of these skeptics that I'll believe it when I see it. And one
And then you saw it.
of my friends reached out to me. They run a group in Telford for just under a year, and they've got like near enough like 1,500 members.
Wow. I bet they've got all the cool equipment as well.
And they gave me the opportunity, to go along, and be involved hands-on, with my very first ever paranormal investigation. And when I came away, I was like 60% believing. I then done another one with them, and that put me to 80%.
Wow.
So at the moment I'm probably about 98%, believing in it. And if I hadn't had that opportunity to try something different, then
See,
I
that
would
really,
never be believing something that I've always looked at. I believe it when I see it. I'm one of them sort of guys. And we've got
that's
one
something
coming up
wonderful that's happened
Saturday.
from YouTube. Then you've actually went out and kind of challenged your own beliefs and come away thinking something a little bit different. I like that.
Yeah, I mean, I went with an open mind. I didn't go with the mind of, oh, nothing's going to happen. I actually went with an open mind and give it a chance. And we've got one coming up Saturday, but I can't say too much about the location. But we are going to be looking at. I've seen recently on YouTube there's something about a certain house, 30 something street it's called, and it's like poltergeist where stuff gets chucked around. And we're even looking into doing that at some point through this year.
That sounds fun.
But
I
yeah,
think most people don't
that's
believe until they've had an
I've enjoyed,
experience.
and it's bringing new content, fresh to my channel.
Yeah, well, and it's giving you something that gives us an exciting new hobby.
I mean, it might not be everyone's cup of tea, as grooming gangs might not be everyone's cup of tea.
Yeah, but I like the fact that you're covering it because not many people do.
I mean, but I don't want millions of views. Like I've always said to people, I'm not really in it for the views. I'm in it, for the content. you know, to bring for people something new and different, you know, to the table, as opposed to just getting myself involved in drama and, you know, like stuff like that all the time.
Well, I'm not quite sure where I'm going to take my channel, and excuse me, I've been thinking about narrating short stories, and maybe people could submit some of their scary stories, and I'd narrate them for them.
You know, but I have got a massive exclusive podcast coming soon. I'm just working behind the scenes with a couple of people as regards to it, which is to do with a certain situation in Hull, and a young lady who's gone through grooming from the age of 12.
Wow.
But like I say, you know, I've got to wait for the court case to finish.
Yeah.
You know, and then that's it. 30 East Drive. Cheers, Cindy Collector. 30 East Drive. That's where I want to. That's where we're going to go at some point this year.
I thought you were going to say something about Earl de Grey Street, that haunted place in Hull.
If you get a chance to just put 30 East Drive in YouTube when you get a spare moment,
okay,
and that's what we'll be. That's where we'll be heading at some point this year.
I love that name, Cindy Collector. You just can imagine somebody with a whole bedroom full of dolls.
One of my top mods, Cindy. Best mod you can find around. I mean, I've had some controversial podcasts, and I've had loads of trolls. I mean, because of an incident I was involved with about a year and a half ago, I defended a certain individual. You know, that was undefendable. Caused me a heck of a lot of problems.
I think a lot of people, including myself at the time, wanted to give everybody the benefit of the doubt until more proof came forward, and then unfortunately proof did come forward.
You know, so I'm trying to stay away from, you know, like drama. You know,
well, that's another thing with this Idaho murder that I'm following. You know, everybody thinks that this kid did it. Well, I've not seen any evidence that actually says that this kid did it.
But I mean, you know, there are going to be times that I'm going to have a controversial podcast like this.
Yeah, definitely.
Because I feel that I should say this, and there's a lot of people that have wanted to say, but you know, they don't want the hassles that come from, you know, speaking of an individual. But it must have worked good because, you know, he started deleting all the stuff that makes him look in a bad light. You know, and it also brings the auditing community, you know, into disrepute, because everybody else is going to be following fashion and thinking, well, let's start asking for donations, when that's not really the way I feel that it should be going forward.
Yeah, and sometimes it's a way that I try to think of things. If I'm going to do a live, especially if I've got the children with me or whatnot, is I'd like to try to behave in a way that if my employer, if I was employed by somebody else, would see that and not put me in a bad eye, or if I saw a teacher or a doctor doing the same activity, would I think of them as a better person or a worse person? And I know it's really hard to do that, especially when you're angry, and sometimes you just have to step away. And I've said things in the heat of the moment, but I'm also not portraying my professional life on YouTube. And I think there's a big difference. You really have to portray yourself with such a, if you're an auditor and you're calling people up on the morality and the rule following of the laws of society, you need to follow those rules too.
Right, I'm going to cut this short. I've got my wife coming back from dialysis, so UK lady, thank you ever so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
And, you're welcome on at any time.
Can I say one rude thing to the people that are nasty out there before we go?
Yeah.
I don't think it's acceptable for you to be a cunt, but not for me to point it out. If you think it is bad for you to behave like a cunt and for anybody else to point it out, then you've got the problem. And that's what I want people to go away thinking about.
Excellent. Well, you're more than welcome on any time, UK lady.
Yeah, and if you ever want to do anything about the Idaho murders, I follow it every day. I'm just addicted. Let me know.
Brilliant. Right, guys, I'm going to wrap this one up. I've got a couple of things I've got to get on and do. Thank you ever so much, guys, because it's you guys that make my channel. You're the viewers, of my content. So I want to thank each and every one of you. I want to thank all my mods. I want to thank Jaleese, Cindy Collector. Always do a great job on my channel. PP, big up PP. So I'm going to wrap it up there then, guys. So hope you enjoyed it, and I'll catch you guys one day this week. I'll get another live knocked out there. So from me to you, love you all, respect you all, and I'll catch you guys shortly.